You're welcome once again to your favorite home friends.
Yep.
This is EWTV, and we are your hosts, Ruth and
Ebuka.
we are called The Edits. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
again today. It's so good to have you here.
Yeah.
So we began our series last month on watering your seed. We're talking about ways you can water your seed for a flourishing marriage. And we want to go on with that. There are several other ways to water your seed. Remember that we said your partner is a seed. There is gold in your partner. It only takes your effort to dig and dig and dig and dig until you bring out the gold. We said the ways of watering your seed. You pray together.
Yeah.
You speak words of affirmation. Set boundaries for your family. And today we have another very, very, very interesting segment of that. And we are going to be talking about speaking gracious words to your partner. Saying gracious words to even your children when you are hurting. That's what we are going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, and make sure you do already.
Thank you. That's quite an interesting topic, and speaking gracious words, and beyond speaking romantic words, we must also be careful about speaking gracious words, especially when we are hurting. One thing we established in the last edition is that, yes, times of offense times they come where you are hurting in marriage, but what do you say at that time? When we are hurting, there's every tendency for one to be carried away, and you won't know when you are careless. You become careless with their words, and you begin to say things you're not supposed to say to your spouse or to your child. And we must learn to understand that words are very powerful, and we must take cognizance of that, even in marriage, to be careful of what we say. And it's something we need to be intentional about, especially as couples. We need to be intentional about the words we speak, especially now that as children start coming, a lot of things, are messed up. You come back, everywhere is messed up. You just clean the place, and the next minute, everywhere is scattered, or you come back exhausted and you don't see what you want to see. There's every tendency as the man and the woman to, begin to use very negative and destructive words on your spouse or your children. And these words carry power. So it's something we must be intentional about, knowing that, yes, I may be hurt, but what do I say at that time? You see some people that I heard a story of a woman that whenever she's angry or she wants to, talk to the children and she's angry, instead of that say, "You are stupid, you are mad," say, "You are a wonderful child. You are a wonderful child. You are a wonderful child. You are glorious." She's angry, but she has been. She's careful. She's intentional about the kind of words she says at that time. Because so many parents have said some words to their children at that time. Maybe they did something and say, "You're just a useless child. You are good for nothing. You're a lazy woman." At that time, you can exchange those words for good things. You don't want to say you're a lazy woman. You are just so hardworking. You're a hardworking woman. What is there's a way you can express it. It's just about being intentional. And why are we talking about it? Because sometimes words have destroyed homes.
Yeah.
This is a home that, what is the issue? He said
just
one thing, one word. And for women, people are very wonderful. You can keep words for years, because it means a lot to the woman.
Yeah.
So you must be careful of the kind of words you use. I think we heard a story about a man that told the woman that why is she acting like a witch? She did something. Said, "Why are you acting like a witch?" And the man said, "You called me a witch," and that actually broke their home because it was a careless word, but it was the woman took it very, very personal. And you shouldn't use such. "Why are you acting like a witch?" That is very heavy. These things are really important. I'm talking as how it relates to the woman. I'm sure you will see a lot how it relates to the man.
Yes, we issue of words is, like you said, words are really, really powerful. The words we say to our spouses, to our children, they are like the seeds that we are sowing in their lives. And you know, whatever you sow is what you will reap.
Very true.
So as a person, we must be careful to cultivate these things. And of course, we can't run away from the Bible. The Bible is our standard.
Yep.
And the word of God says that out of the abundance of the heart, what happens to the mouth? The mouth speaks. The mouth confesses it. So we must be deliberate to renew what goes in. Make sure you're taking in a lot of the word. See, you know, whatever good thing, think about it. Because when you think about it, it gets into you. And when there's trouble, that's what you bring out.
Very true.
So we must cultivate this attitude and be careful of the things you say, some tiny things. Imagine just saying, why are you acting like a witch? You didn't even say she's a witch. You only said acting like a witch, and that broke it. So we must be very careful, and truly the word is being intentional.
Be intentional.
Be intentional about the things you say, and you know, practice. When you practice it, you become it.
Very true.
So I really think we need to take a break.
Yeah, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about practical areas where you need to use gracious words. How you need to be intentional. Don't forget that if you have questions or comments or things you want to share with us about what we're talking about, what we're discussing, feel free to reach us on our handles. You can send us a mail, you can send a private message, and be sure that we'll get back to you. Don't go away, stay right back. We'll join you shortly. Alright, welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Now we are talking about using gracious words as couples, and how it affects your relationship and the home as a whole. And we've shared some few examples of areas where I will agree with the fact first that yes, you can be hurt, you can be offended, but how do you respond? How do you react to that situation? I would say you need to be intentional about the words you use, because words carry power. I will share practical experiences of how your home's relationship are broken because of words. And I'm saying that specifically as a man. To other men, we must be careful with the kind of words we use. And somebody may not. So when I'm angry, what do I say? Is it that I should see things that are wrong and not correct it? No, we are not saying you shouldn't correct it that wrong. How are you correcting it? Instead of shouting, instead of yelling, you know, because at that time you say things that you're not supposed to say. And sometimes those words are, you know, they are like water that you pour on the floor. You can't gather them again. And sometimes you say things when you're angry, out of control. And even you regret why you said those words. And even when you try to now make amends, sometimes the words are so deep. They've gone out and the woman keep feeling, but why will you ever say such a thing to me? So it's something you need to be intentional and tell yourself, I will use gracious words. When I'm angry, I'll use gracious words. Even when you want to correct a thing, first recommend that thing you are correcting. Are there no other things that she has done well? The salt is too much in the food. Instead of you say, were you sleeping? What did you know? Your food is always wonderful. No, you cook so well. I love this meal. Wow, beautiful. Wow. You know, it would have been explosive if you added a little salt. It would have been out of this world if the salt, you know, if you know, they're just some creative ways that you say this thing. Instead of the woman to get angry, she will start laughing. You know, say, you're the best chef in the world. But you'd have been the best in the universe if you added a little more pepper. Or if the pepper was not. Next one, I'll give you the best in the universe. Just reduce the pepper. There are different ways you can communicate and say these things. And first appreciate. First, you know, appreciate what that person, commend that person even before you recommend. But some people just come, this thing is bad. But you've been eating that same food for 5 years and it didn't kill you. You've not been eating pepper every day. So that mistake is done in a day does not mean, you know, and we are different people. There are things someone, your spouse may like, you don't like. We just learn to compliment, come to a compromise where we can, you know, blend with each other.
Yes, you know, the issue of commending first before you recommend, then you commend again. It's very, very important. Take for example, we all know the way the society is now. Everybody is in search and scouting for money, and then your husband is just able to give you the little he can afford. You don't blow the trumpet and just begin to shout, hey, what can this one do? This one cannot even cook a pot of soup. What about the children and all that? No. Be appreciative first. Learn to say thank you. At least you even provided. Thank you for this. However, this may not be enough. You know, there are different creative ways of communicating your thoughts. So the main idea here is, first of all, learn to commend your spouse. Learn to commend. Sometimes your husband helps you out with the chores at home. Learn to say thank you.
A Superman.
Learn to say, oh, you are my hero. Learn to say sweet things to your husband. Some of you that will just even be calling your husband name, Emeka or Papa Emeka. No. Spice up your home. Let your home be sweet. Let there just be this sweet fragrance. When somebody enters your house, there's just this sweet. Play with your spouse. It is not wrong. Play. Use these words. Learn them. Don't say, my own house, the environment I grew, my father calls my mother Mama Mary. So Mama, me too is Mama Joy. No. Learn. Unlearn what you learned from the environment you're coming from. Relearn again. So that your home can be flourishing. So you water your seed intentionally. Speak gracious words to your children. Your child did something, he or she didn't get it correctly. Commend first. Oh, well done, you did well. However, next time, try to do it like this. And the child will not be upset. Okay, so this is practical. It is less of theory and more of practical.
The more you keep doing
it, you get that. Yes. And there's a word I want to correct women from saying. You have an issue with your husband, say, I am at my best with you. That is very wrong. That is totally wrong. Speak gracious words. Fill yourself with the word of God. It helps these gracious words.
I like what you said about your husband doing chores with comment. So women will come and say, this one where you clean the house today. This one that you did this. Are you sure you don't want something?
You want night duty.
Afternoon duty. You know, those are the things. Instead of you to appreciate the person,
and
you're like,
seriously, to the man, don't do it because you want night duty.
Do it because that is your.
That is serious hypocrisy, wearing suit and wearing a mask.
What is night duty?
Don't do it because you want night duty. Do it because you love your wife, and your wife is you. Oneness. And you are your wife. Don't kill the woman. Don't let her age before her time. Help out. Help
Even
out.
at 30, you see them looking as if they are grandmother because they walk and tired. Even some women, when they are pregnant and so heavy, the man is still balanced. They are still moving about, serving him. That is not correct sign. Well, use gracious words. Even when you're not tidy, you are smelling. We'll come to talk about that in another edition about taking care of our physical body. But we need to use gracious words. Be creative around it, and it's beautiful. You just make your own fun view, and things that should have caused big issue, it just becomes light. So want to see that happen in your home also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, it was really an awesome time, and we're sure you enjoyed it. Thank you so. This is Homefront, your favorite on EWTV. Make sure you come here again and wait for us next week Sunday, 6:30. Bye.
Bye.